I know. I like the round table. We're gonna have to figure this out for next time. Maybe a different location. May have to go to the dining room next time around. Maybe upstairs. We'll find a place for next time. So, but welcome. This is the I guess the inaugural Coffee with Tyler in the 1884 until Lindsay Hall's available or we find another location. So, thanks everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. All right. Well, my agenda's as normal is blank, but I'm happy to kick off with anything questions you have out of the gates, or as I can just give just a brief update on construction. Thank you. Whatever anybody's got. So who wants to kick us off? Yes.
I heard what I hope is a vile rumor that the custodians dump all the garbage and the recycling when they collect it into the same container so that our efforts to recycle are being erased. I don't know if you know that, or even if you know it. I mean, you'd have to be there when they're doing it, I guess. But
yeah, I'll check with Eric. That's not my understanding.
Yeah, there's a
obviously
resident who told me that's what happened. So.
Right, and I mean, I'll verify with security to make sure, because security overnight is the one that takes the trash, obviously. And then also, I know that the Green Committee is working with our new provider of trash disposal. So I'll verify that that's not happening, that your efforts are not in vain. But again, I cannot, I want to absolutely say absolutely not. We're adhering to your efforts, but I'll verify that before I take the night shift. I could take the night shift and visit everybody on Thursday. I'm not doing much overnight, so I mean I'm up anyways.
We could just terrify that guy.
Right. So
all of us women being present, if he was dumping it.
So okay, so can't knock that one out 100%, but what else?
How is your night shift?
What's that?
How is your night shift?
My night shift, personally, it started at 12:30, ended at 2, and was started up again at 3 a.m. this morning. So.
It sounds normal.
Yeah, so it's a busy night shift.
He's a healthy kid, right?
So yes. Yes, Polly.
I have a question. Who's Davy? Is that part of KEI?
Davy Trees? No, they are not. They are a separate contract outside of KEI that we hired to do some tree trimming. Okay. They specialize in that. They also treated the ash trees outside of the water tower. And Eric has worked with them previously, but they helped us with some of that.
Okay.
Carolyn?
I saw
You're on the camera? No. Sorry.
That's okay. Why does everybody want to be on camera?
I saw the truck out there.
Yep.
Mulching up some of the branches, and I just wondered.
Yep. So KEI is the general landscaping. Obviously, we do our own landscaping in house. Davy is specific for trees, so they also were helping cord up the main tree off a downer. But yes, they are currently in process of helping with the springtime cleanup. As you saw probably last week, our landscaping team was outside doing the wonderful spring cleanup of all the garbage that the snow left behind. So,
Did they spray the trees upstairs too? Do you know?
are there ash trees upstairs?
No, but there's one tree.
Are they the crab
particular-
trees?
There's crab, and then there's one that
I
Eric
don't.
was having sprayed a couple times a year because
Yes.
it wasn't healthy.
So that should have happened. I know that when I signed the contract, there was a number of different trees that were being sprayed and
I'll check
treated.
with Eric.
So I can verify that, but yes, that was also Davies does our tree treatments as well. So this is bigger than the state of the castle. Yes, Dr. Backlars.
I was wondering, because I'm a walker around the neighborhood, if it would be a good idea to have some of the police and maybe our congressman or
Alderman.
in to talk about the way the people drive around here. They almost try to hit pedestrians.
So, is Joanne here? I spoke with Joanne as part of the Low Vision group, and I actually had a meeting with a virtual meeting with our alderman 2 weeks ago about safety, crosswalks, Downer Avenue, and just some of the efforts they're putting down the road on Prospect and Brady. I don't know if any of you saw that the Brady Hotel did get approved, and so some of that funding is going to help improve the pedestrian safety, but down the road. He said, according to statistics, we are in a very low statistical risk category. So the money and efforts of the city at this point, as he noted, are limited, are not focused on the corner of Downer and Bradford. Obviously I was mentioning the population we have here, the population next door at the Catholic home, the hospital population, as well as just obviously the driving around. And, he said he understood. He said gather some, additional voices, so to speak, with Catholic home. Because I also mentioned sidewalk safety on Downer Avenue. Unfortunately, we've had some residents throughout the years trip on the ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And he said, again, if you want essentially to pay for it, feel free. But, that is something that, I've talked with Mike a little bit about as well, to work with our Downer bid, so the business district, so to speak, to see where we want to help. There is some, we'll say, low-cost signage, meaning the temporary kind of slow signs, pedestrian signs that you can put at crosswalks and things of that nature. Again, that would have to go through the bid, but unfortunately, he said you're at a low statistical risk category, so funding will not be provided.
But those signs that say that it is a Wisconsin law that they have to stop the pedestrians. The incident I had experienced was that their wall separates from Lake Drive. And that you'd think would be pretty safe. But Joanne and I were crossing the street, and the car in front, coming south, stopped. But this crazy woman pulled out from behind him and leaned on her horn, full blast, and screamed and hollered at us to get out of the way.
Yeah, and so again, I guess I would just, please take any safety measures you yourself can, because you obviously can control yourself. Again, if you have concerns, put that to the alderman. Obviously the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak, and your voices being persistent and having a number of us come together, I think is more powerful than even just my own voice. So again, I would ask, to continue to talk to Senator Larson, talk to our aldermen, and see what we can do.
Well, I saw a police car down the street.
Yeah.
And they were eating their lunch.
But
I talked to them about this, and they said that unfortunately drivers, when they enter the city streets, they're all right in the suburbs. They enter the city streets, and he said they just don't pay any attention, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
That's what the police said.
I have kind of a follow-up on that. The stop sign that is on Prospect,
Yep.
and then they come on to Bradford. Would it do any good at all, and I can do this, and I'll call the alderman, and count the number of people who never even pause?
Yeah.
That stop sign is
Should be a
irrelevant.
yield sign. I mean, that's essentially what it's
I think
treated
someday I'm gonna
as.
sit
so.
there for an hour and just say there were 50 cars that went through and 45 didn't even.
I mean, I think you
didn't
could.
even do a California stop.
Yeah, I think you could say that right now without even sitting there and make the assumption. Unfortunately, so I think the more persistent we are, the more action we may receive.
I
Again,
wonder if a stop sign with like the lights, flashing lights around it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Shorewood does that.
Shorewood has those. I know Whitefish Bay has those in areas as well. But even like Downer, some of the pedestrian, yield signs that I know I have out at my house because I live by a high school. Where there is a yield, but again, that's
The best things are topies,
yeah.
so they have to go over the bump, and if they go over too fast, they're in the air.
How do you get a speed bump?
Again,
well,
that's
topies
through
are
the
speed bumps.
alderman's office, and yeah. Yes.
I just wanted to follow up on what the low vision support group is doing. Joanne Pierre is working with, Mike Reaver is working with us also. And I don't know that he's gonna, I think he may have been in contact with the alderman, but we started out with talking lights. So that
Yes.
when the light changes color,
Yep.
Stop or go. And then also talking about more than the roads and the traffic, talking about the sidewalks, which are really dangerous.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
seeing what they can do, or
Eh.
the city can do, but it sounds like not much.
Yeah, again, that was my initial conversation with the alderman. I have not since followed up with him about anything else. I've reached out, to Dave at the Catholic home to see, what he said and what they're doing. The alderman's kids do go to the Montessori right across the road, and so I know he walks because I asked him that, obviously. And he's aware, but unfortunately, his focus appears right now to be on the Brady Hotel because that is providing funding for increased traffic safety where there were incidences. And I'm sure you may be aware that there was a resident down the road by St. John's and Ovation or Jewish home that was unfortunately hit. And so again, this is a number of months back, but again, that's where his focus right now is because there's funding available. He can get TIF dollars, so to speak, to fund that. So yes, take note. Again, if you see, if it's somebody that you see or is noticeable, please let me know. On the same vein, I will let you know that the parking lot is soon to be painted and restriped, so that hopefully our parking lot, if you have visitors or you yourself park in the parking lot, you'll see brighter lines. We're starting to trial that either end of this week, early next week, but our goal is to have it painted by the end of May. It kind of overnight. So again, that just not necessarily related to outside of these walls safety and what we need to do, but just know that that's needed and that there is some patchwork that's going to be happening specifically out where that Davies tree truck is right now, where we have some dips in the parking lot concrete. So that is all being planned and worked through currently. What else? What other questions?
And what is the power washing? Is that outside the building, the stone?
Are you speaking about that power washing that happened?
I don't know, they were going up on the C elevator.
So they are currently starting to power wash basically the connection from the historic building into the new Lake Terrace building on the inside of the courtyard, as well as some of the historic wall. That's what they were looking at doing today, if that's what you mentioned, Polly. We have had power washing throughout. Window cleaning is still tracking for, I think, spring or fall. When did we do it usually? Spring. So that is still tracking. We just got proposals and had another proposal since last year wasn't done necessarily to the expectation. And so we've gone back to that contractor and let him know that in the event that he wants the business, he needs himself to be here during that entire time, because when he's here, things happen to go a little bit better. So what else? there is a construction update Friday from CG Schmidt. That will be in here. Now that I see what this is capable of, we'll have it set up a little differently for that meeting, so that you yourself can not have to walk into a space and try and find a chair. We'll have it better set up for you.
What about that big classroom?
So the big classroom is a place we would be very, very tight in there. That space is comfortably for 20, and so I'm just looking at this, probably closer to 30. We would fit in there, but I think again, that's right now. Unfortunately, in the next over the 2 months, we're gonna have to figure out what that looks like. Figure out how these spaces are going to interact and what we need to do in order to facilitate the lack of a large space like Lindsay Hall. So the good news is they're making really good progress in Lindsay Hall. So that's tracking. May 1st, they're still tracking to start flooring. So that's in 2 weeks out in the front lobby area. That work will all be done overnight. And so again, you should wake up one morning to additional sections of actual herringbone type tile being in place. The first 2 days, again, don't expect that that's going to happen because they actually have to put down a self-leveling surface, and then they also have to put down essentially an isolation barrier, from my understanding, to help with help with the noise of those tiles. So again, the first kind of couple of days, there's going to be like, well, what did they really do? They did do something, and then all of a sudden it'll come together. So, but again, Pete and Jordan will have a better update for you on Friday. I will not be in the office on Friday. Myself, as well as Lindsay, the administrator, are actually heading up to our alma mater, University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, and we both graduated from there. There's a large, what they call a Chase banquet. It's for the healthcare administration department. It's to bring in the next generation. And I can say that because I've been in the industry now longer than 10 years, so I can bring in the next generation of healthcare leaders. So again, LCS is going to recruit for interns and things of that nature. But again, it's just another area of support that we will be providing. So Lindsay and I will be taking off Thursday afternoon and then driving back on Friday. So I will not be here, but I think Maureen will be available. And then again, Jordan and Pete, I trust them and they know more than what I do.
Quick question, this may not be the place, I'll ask anyway. Are you having any more luck finding more servers? And the one complaint we've had about the buffet is they do not keep the food hot.
So the question was, are you having any more luck finding servers? And the food on the buffet does not stay hot. And so on the server regard, we had a very strong team. We had some people off, so hopefully we'll see them coming back. But the servers are, again, we're trying to find and retain the right fit. Tanya and Majarka, again, we brought on Nate. I'm not sure if you've seen Nate. You'll see him in the dining room. He's also going to be opening up and assisting us in the bar. Obviously, we have Sam. So again, Patrice and different individuals. I don't know if we're getting anybody back for summer that left for the school year. That's always a nice welcome, but I don't know if we have anybody. And then as far as the buffet being cold, I know that was brought up in the Food and Beverage Committee. Majarka mentioned that to me. I know part of it was that the lids stay open for too long and trying to close those. And I know that the line gets very long and, all of that. So I think, again, Majarka and Tim have discussed that and trying to figure out a better solution. It's nothing to do with our chafers or not holding the temperature. I think the chafers are working the way in which they are. I think the other issue was, I know there's been a couple service things in the back of the house where needless to say, we're aware of it, and again, we want to provide those buffets that are still hot for you. But if you are one of the last ones in line, please do take note and just shut that lid. I know that we should also have some servers and things of that nature available, but
What is happening with the mail?
so Dr. Backlars is asking, what about the mail? Is that
He's
not?
in Jamaica.
Is it what, Betty?
Jamaica. Gary is in Jamaica for the week.
Gary's in Jamaica, so I guess we're not getting mail. Gary didn't even run that past me. Usually he lets me approve his vacation. No, usually it's Teresa. So Gary's in Jamaica. That's good to know. I'm assuming we have a sub, and I'm assuming mail is slow or
Non-existent.
non-existent. That's not good. Because the government does, as much as I like to think that I do have control of Gary's schedule, I don't. The government should be supplying a substitute to make sure that Gary's not coming back to 8 days worth of mail, and you are waiting for 8 days worth of mail. So I will have Teresa reach out to the post office to get an idea of what's happening. I thank you for bringing that to my attention.
The rumor was that the postmaster was notified because we did not get mail on Friday or Saturday because the rumor is that the sub would not put on a mask.
That was Lila telling us that. That wasn't a rumor. He
Okay.
wouldn't wear a mask, so she said. And she called the post office.
Well, good. You know more than me.
That's what she told me.
All right, well, let me follow up on that. I want to make sure you guys get your mail. That is very important.
Well, the other thing was is that people told me they had money for bills in that container that the postman gets the mail out, and it was sitting there not only Friday and Saturday, but and Sunday, and I guess he showed up Monday there.
And delayed, so it went out Tuesday.
Okay. All right, I'll have Teresa follow up on that. Was not aware of that.
If
So
anybody's taxes are late,
blame the
pass it
postman.
on.
Yeah.
They don't care.
It would be a late fee.
Well,
Okay. What else?
Let's think.
Has everybody gone up to the second floor and seen the new spaces? You might have also heard through the rumor mill. I met with the meditation group on Monday. Mike Brever is going to be moving back over to across from where the new classroom is, so where the old salon is, that was the old meditation room. Where Mike Brever currently is in the historic terrace building, that will now be the dedicated meditation room. Now, as I mentioned with the meditation group, it obviously is not going to seat 10 people, nor would Mike's new office seat 10 people comfortably. So again, we're going to be working through that with the meditation group and with Chaplain. But the intent is that meditation space will be open and available towards mid to late May. And then that's where you can go in with a group size of, special counseling with Chaplain, or your own pastor, or your own meditation that you want to do. Go in with a smaller group, go in yourself. But that's going to be where the spiritual resources for the community are going to be. And that's going to be now the permanent space. We'll be redoing that space with some paint and flooring. It does have a window and some comfortable seating as well. So again, that will be third floor because Chaplain is on second floor. I get the two mixed up all the time. So that's one note. So again, Mike is moving out of his office next week into his new office the same day. What else?
Well, the larger meditation group that meets on Monday morning, that's going, you had mentioned a couple of
Yes, so
places that would.
thank you. The larger meditation group that meets Monday is going to stay, I think, in Bradford Terrace, second floor, until everything kind of shakes out. But then the boardroom is available. I know it's not too meditative. Also, the room across the way would be available. Again, that's a smaller setting, a quieter setting. and then obviously the classroom would be available. And then the new Lake Terrace building, there are 3 essentially. Remember where the country kitchen was on that first floor? That's going to be a small. That's going to be not a smaller, but that size space is going to be a kind of a card room / multi-purpose space with a door that you as residents can meet in. I think that's where the meditation group was talking. The second floor will be a library space. The third floor, an art studio space. And then the fourth floor will have kind of that kitchenette, country kitchen type feel. And across the way from there will be the lounge. And then also on that same floor will be the theater. So again, that will be when the Lake Terrace building opens. But I think that's where we mentioned potentially having that meditation group. Because it'll comfortably fit 8 to 12 individuals, because you won't have the cabinets and kitchen and all that. It'll just be a larger open space, some cupboards and things of that nature. So.
Okay, I have some questions. With the creativity room downstairs, can you tell us what's going to happen there?
Sure. Did you have other questions, or you want me to answer them one-on-one?
Well, the other one is I'd like to know a little bit about the art room on the second floor.
Okay. So the questions were creativity room, that currently is your fitness center. What's happening there? And 2, what about the art room that will be on the 3rd floor of the Lake Terrace building? So first one, the creativity center, that's going to happen essentially starting July, August. It's going to be kind of after the rest of the project, so we only move the fitness center once, because otherwise right now we don't have anywhere for the fitness center to be. Also, I will be putting together a smaller group of residents, and it sounds like I'll work with the art committee. I know Mr. Horvath has mentioned he has experience in setting up creativity and art studios. So I may be asking for some additional input into how we want that space to function. Right now, it's all new finishes, so new flooring, new paint, new cabinets, taking out the sink and the refrigerator and stuff like that, and opening up, some of that creativity center, while getting it back to its formal function, which is an art creativity space. The 3rd floor right now is pretty well set from a design standpoint. There's some cabinets set up. There's a larger space to do what I would call watercolors, so to speak, or more of that type of painting, because then there is also an art rail that will be installed to hang different paintings and easels and things of that nature. So creativity center in the 3rd floor, I think probably in the near future I'll be talking with the art committee to see if we want to just collaborate briefly. Again, I'm not going to say that carte blanche. We have wide open spaces. Again, there are things in place. There are things that have already been purchased for that space. But again, we do have a little flexibility since now it is slightly delayed, as I'll say, because it won't be done with the rest of the common areas and other pieces.
Okay, there's a storeroom in there, in the creativity room.
Yep.
I'm wondering if part of that could be for many of us have art supplies, and to bring them down every time we want to work. If some room could be developed for individuals' art supplies.
Sure. Yeah, I think that those are the types of things I think, again, we can work through, because those are, again, they don't change the layout of the room itself. I mean, again, I think that's very feasible, so.
What did you say the second floor would be?
So the second floor is another library.
A library.
So first floor is kind of a multi-purpose, what I'll call a card room, I think is what we labeled it. Second floor is another library. 3rd floor, again, is another art studio. And then 4th floor is that kitchenette, canteen is what it's going to be called. And then the lounge across the way, so that in the event, like we had the country kitchen, or, you want to cook something and you don't want to do it in your home, or you have a church group or something like that you bring in, you have kind of people that bring in lunch or want to cook something up, that will be available. Instead of on the first floor, it'll be on the 4th floor, and then you have a beautiful lounge across the way. Yes.
Excuse me. Are there any talks going on with you, with the art committee, with the design group about the computer-generated art that is around here? Because it's horrible art. Well, it's not art.
So Pat Crump came to me on behalf of the art committee and a number of you that have voiced concerns about the computer-generated art. And primarily it's the 2nd floor art is what she brought to my attention up here. The art packages essentially have been selected, and I worked with the art committee in selecting the majority of that. I think these were some pieces that either got kind of missed or added late or something of that nature. But the art committee went through all of the common areas to help kind of guide the vision. Now, what I spoke with Pat about was, let's wait until the rest of the art package arrives. Meaning that there's art that's in storage right now that's being placed in Lindsay Hall, in various other parts of the area. Let's get the final product, so to speak. And if at that point we still feel that strongly about the computer-generated art, about the various pieces around, then let's have that conversation. Because again, I understand if it's, and again, Pat wouldn't have come to me, as she said, if it was just her opinion. But I think, looking at art is so individualistic at times. But at the same time, I also, if there's 70 to 80% of the residents that say this is an absolutely awful piece, we don't need to keep it. Again, I know that's why we talked about the brass plates in the private dining room. And we are looking at a replacement for those. And I think we have a solution, but that will be in the final art package. Those are drilled into the wall. So again, the patch and paint of that right now is not something we want to entail. But again, that's where, again, living in the space, so to speak, getting used to the space. Again, I don't want it to be a first impression and then, that's the only opinion. I want others to be able to interact and feel it. So it has been brought to my attention. At this time, we're going to wait for the entire art package to get kind of distributed.
Just a comment, for me at least, and I think there are other people who feel the same way, the institutional art, or that's the word I'm going to go to, the computer-generated artwork around here, makes it feel very institutional, I think. It's not a warm, welcoming kind of vibe that we want to create when people walk in.
Sure.
And that's just personal.
Sure. Absolutely. What else?
So Nate's job and hours and his job description?
So the question is about Nate, and I'm sure many of you have had the opportunity to meet Nate. Nate is, trying to remember his formal title. Don't quote me on this. We'll go with lead bartender. So Nate was hired and has experience in bartending, in opening a bar, and Nate will essentially be kind of responsible for what we're in currently in the AT&T Ford. Nate will also have duties as server and different things, but Nate's hours right now are planned Tuesday through Saturday. Obviously there's time off and different days in there, not to get too granular with that schedule, but the bigger question is, when is the bar going to be open? And when are we going to kick that off? As many of you came in, you hear that they're still installing things. The final pieces are in. Bolter should be in either tomorrow or Friday to do final installation of everything that you can't see, because nothing's hooked up right now. So it's tough to bartend out of something that's unhooked up. we do have all the glassware, we do have all the alcohol and things of that nature. And so over the course of this week and next, we will be opening the bar. And then the plan will be to open it, and you should get some communication about this either Wednesday and Thursday of next week or the following. And then we'll do kind of a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the first couple of weeks. And then the intent is to have it open Tuesday through Saturday. Kind of from a 4 o'clock hour through the dinner hour. You'll be able to use your points. The happy hour will not be free. I want to make sure there will be free happy hours intermittently, but not every night.
Oh, darn.
I know, didn't want to burst anybody's bubble, but we are having, going to have a lot of fun with it. Majarka, I'm not going to ruin any surprises, but I think her, Tanya, and Nate are really coming up, as well as Tim, are coming up with a lot of really cool ideas and concepts that we're going to be able to provide. We will have beer on tap. And so again, that's kind of exciting. We will have a house wine. We'll have an elevated wine. Again, those price points will vary. House wine maybe 4 or 5 points. The elevated wine maybe 6 or 7. Your choice. But again, that's something that we've heard from you as residents that you want to offer. Again, we do hold a liquor license, so we do have responsibility in making sure that we have a bartender that's available to serve on site. And again, there's city ordinances through that. We actually had a Milwaukee Police Department walk through to make sure that it was safe to serve here. I'm sure you got notices when we went for our liquor license to make sure you weren't rowdy and going to be a hindrance on the community. I think we passed barely, but no, it was a lengthy process. Majarka took on that process, thankfully, because it was hours spent at the city and going through validation, hand-drawn sketches. It's an interesting process.
So the points for, let's say, a glass of wine will be different in the dining room than in here?
No, not necessarily. Again, I think this is going to serve that. So again, I don't know right now. I think we just have one type of wine. What I've heard from Majarka and the Food and Beverage Committee is that we want to offer an elevated potential wine. That's where the point difference is. But if it's 5 points over here, it'll be 5 points in the dining room. Prices will not vary. Obviously, if you get a premium beer versus a normal beer, those price points are going to be different. Rail versus elevated, again, it's going to be one of those things that we kind of walk through. So
another question. Sometimes people bring down their cocktails. Will that be allowed?
So the question is, will I be allowed to bring down a cocktail? And that's where if you were not in a normal bar, obviously that'd be very frowned upon and not able. Technically, our liquor license does not allow that, to be able to bring down your own cocktail. But I know a couple of the people that will be enforcing that, and we'll probably work together to work through that. So, speaking of Nate, hi Nate.
Hi.
So Nate, we're just talking about the bar.
I heard, that's why I turned around.
Yeah. So they were just asking. I did say we hold a liquor license for this space, and there's certain laws about bringing your own beverages in and things of that nature. I said, a little different setting here. Obviously, we're not a standalone bar. So again, that's going to be something we'll probably work through. But a lot of excitement surrounding the bar. So does that answer your question, Carolyn?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not sure if it answers it for me. You're going to work on it. When it opens, do you predict people will be allowed to bring in their own cocktail or glass of wine or not?
If you want that answer today, I will say no, you cannot. And that's purely because of our liquor license. And that's as I sit today, and I have not spoken with Nate, I have not spoken with Majarka, Tanya. That is my answer today. That's my answer for being on video. And when you enter this space, the expectation is that you will purchase, quote unquote, from the bar. Now, I do know that residents have had their own happy hours down here. This is a community space. I love that. That's what it's here for. So again, how do we blur those lines? What does that look like? Again, that's something that I think we're gonna have to work through and work together. So as of today, if Nate is behind the bar serving, you are expected to purchase your cocktail or beverage from the bar. That is what the idea would be. So,
What about the dining room?
so the dining room, technically, liquor license covers that as well. I know that residents bring in their own cocktails or bottles of wine. Again, that's something that if you're holding me to it, I would say you have to purchase from this area, but at the same time, this is your home. I don't know about you, but I enjoy a glass of wine that I have for my own personal home at my home. So that's why, again, it's a little blurred there. Again, it'll be continuing to be what we do in the dining room, maintain that. But again, in here, as we open it, that's going to be the line I will hold as of today, April 19th at 3:30. That could change tomorrow, April 20th at noon. So we'll have a full kind of breakdown of that with Nate, with Majarka, with Tanya in the upcoming weeks.
That chandelier needs lights.
The chandelier is being replaced because those LEDs aren't bulbs, they're wired. So we actually have a new fixture coming. It was not to factory, so yes. When I went, there's a number of things like that outlet that hopefully is going to get replaced prior to, again, getting full-blown service in here. That's a little bit harder than just what we thought it initially would be. Yes?
Do you have any more ideas about what the food service in here might look like?
So, should have had Majarka with me. Majarka, Tanya, Tim, and I have had a number of conversations. Lunch, this will be your lunch spot. We're going to keep the main dining room for dinner because the lunch crowds are generally smaller. In the event that all of a sudden everybody wants lunch, we'll open that up, not a problem. Everything still comes out of that kitchen. The menu right now to open will remain kind of that traditional lunch menu, but we do have some things in the works to try and, I would say, add variety to the lunch menu and also kind of help in that bistro grab and go situation. But this will be your new lunch venue, so to speak. A little bit more casual. We're not going to have tablecloths on these tables. This is also your breakfast area. So again, as you're getting your cup of coffee or your pastries, this is where the papers are going to be, again, instead of having them in the library. So again, use this as your breakfast and lunch space. That will be open normal lunch hours. I think it's at 11:30 to 1 or so. If you do have a private event, the private dining rooms will still be available to you. Reserve those as your normal. And again, we'll be able to support that. So does that answer the question? Kind of.
Mm-hmm. You say all the papers will be in here now?
Should be, yes.
Delivered here?
Yeah, that would be my hope and expectation. Obviously, those may transition to the library at some point. Again, that's going to be based on kind of resident preference and also where they walk to, because they sometimes start in one location and end up in an apartment. So,
When is this gonna open?
I believe
Like officially?
officially, I believe next week, Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So again, that's where Majarka and I just talked about that today. So I wish I would have a more confident tone, but I've lost that in my train. So I will have that for you and communicated, and it'll fully open for lunch. Me and my dates right. Tuesday next week. Happy hour will come out of here on Wednesday next week, and that will kind of be the kickoff.
Okay.
Yes.
What other, you said this is gonna be closed, or the bar is gonna be closed Sunday, Nate's not gonna be here. What are the possibilities, especially like during football season, the noon Packer games and a Bloody Mary bar?
Love it. I actually, Majarka and I so the question was, what about, Packer Sundays? Yes, this will be open. And yes, those ideas have come forth more so organically through some staff members. I think it would be a great idea. Obviously, staff won't be partaking, but I would love to see that. I would love to see this space, transition from a nice brunch to, kind of a Packer party, Packer type of. We have a couple TVs around, so that would be the idea. I know that a Bloody Mary bar could be a lot of fun. I'd be interested to see how many partake. But yes, different things, even just popcorn and being available, I think is definitely a possibility now that this space is open. Brewer games, I would love to see the Bucks in the final, having a Bucks party in here at 7:00 at night, and that type of atmosphere. So again, that's why we have this space. Again, not just for drinking, it's for entertainment, for events and different things of that nature. That way, usually those are a little bit smaller crowds, so that Lindsay Hall can be used for the larger type of events. But no, love those thoughts. Keep those ideas coming. I think that's what I would recommend to talk with your food and beverage committee members about, those ideas, and so that we can look at the greater scope of East Castle Place's food and beverage program. Dr. Becklars?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have, I want to ask facetiously, if you've considered an AA room.
An AA room. So you're talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. So, and again, I fully understand that. And again, that's usually an anonymous source, so I wouldn't designate a room for that to take away the anonymity. But in that regard, I mean, we definitely have support groups and different things of that nature. And if that is something that is wanted, I would say please speak with Teresa Jenkins. Again, I wouldn't say if we had one or not, because that would take away the anonymousness of it. So I definitely think it's, again, it's out there. And if it's wanted, needed, maybe it's already happening. Talk with Teresa Jenkins, and she can help us out.
Will the TVs in this room be controlled strictly by the staff? A thing like tonight, I think the Bucks play this evening in their second playoff game. If it's not on and you want to come down and watch it, is there a way for the individual to turn it on, or is it going to be strictly controlled by
The only one that will be strictly controlled by staff is this one, because that is a touchdown TV. The other three, I didn't have one there. I had 10 planned for this room. No, I'm just kidding. On the ceiling, if anybody's ever walked into a Buffalo Wild Wings, but no. Those two and this one can be resident controlled. And so yes, where the remotes are, they are hooked up right now and working. At least that's what I'm told. I have not seen them. We're also working through the aesthetics of them, and also getting a sound bar underneath to help with the sound. So we do not have speakers in this area. That is an area that we elected not to, and went with more of the local sound bar, just because acoustically it can get pretty interesting. So that's why we're going with the sound bar. So yes, those can be operated by residents, and also, ESPN can be on one, CNN can be on another one, and they're all independent. So again, I hope that I don't have to come in and regulate that, but again, that will be part of my job duties, I guess. If we have, again, we won't even get into that.
I can see fist fights over
what's on. I know. I mean, just like my brother and I used to get in the fight about the one remote we had in the house. I know. So we have 3 TVs. Let's all play nice. Everybody should enjoy a Bucks game, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Where will the movies be shown?
So the question is, where will the movies be shown? So right now, as you know, the movies are being shown in Bradford Terrace 1, right? Working out okay. I think they can fit around 20-ish in that space. The movies, right will be planned in the theater. The theater will be located on the 4th floor of the Lake Terrace building. Right now, there are 16 theater-style seats planned for that theater space. And we can bring in a rack of Lindsay Hall chairs and max that space out for probably 20 to 25. In the event that it's a movie that everybody's really enjoying, we'd go to Lindsay Hall, just like we had previously. Or we would show a matinee and a 7 o'clock, because that theater's dedicated. Nothing else is happening in there. It'll be a little bit more comfy. There's no windows, so it'll be dark. It will have just a large LCD TV screen, something that's a little easier to control as opposed to the sophisticated theater systems. It will have not the Dolby Digital surround like your normal theater, but it will have a nice sound system to give that theater type experience. So that's where the movies will be shown. But again, in the event that there's, maybe I think Respect is this week, I think I saw. That's the movie. If that's a big, movie that everybody's very interested in, we easily transition that to Lindsay Hall. We'll have the large format TV and things of that nature and be able to show that in there. So, and then 40, 50 people can see the movie at once. So.
I'm just wondering how you would ever know how many people are going to show up or be interested in the movie.
Great question. Similar to kind of today. And again, it's kind of like any theater. If it's full, you have to come back for the next showing. On average, when I look back, the average showing was between 10 and 12 for a movie. So again, that's why the theater's kind of sized. I do know we're bringing in another 30 to 45 residents that may be interested. Again, we've only shown movies at one time. That's where if maybe we go to a 3 o'clock and a 7 o'clock showing, maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday type showing, for one film, you can filter in the various times. So as opposed to trying to sneak it in Lindsay Hall when there's not 37 other events going on. So.
Yeah, rather than just rely on the demand for the film and decide either a larger space or two showings, I'd like to see a regular schedule. It doesn't have to match the regular movie schedule, but a matinee schedule.
Yep.
Because the night ones sometimes just run too long. I don't go to a night movie anymore, at any place.
Yeah. And I think that would be the idea, is a regular schedule of matinees and night movies. I think as well we can get more diverse than twice a week with movies, or we can show one movie as a very popular one, a full week. So yes, we would run that through the movie committee, like we currently do, and they would kind of be in charge of the selection of that. And again, we'll have a place out there to show what movies are going to be playing that week. So all of that will be happening.
You may have some problems with multiple showings and having enough people to staff. On the movie committee, there's basically 4 of us, and we do all the Wednesday and the Saturday movies. But we've talked about if it gets much more expanded, we're going to have more people. It wouldn't necessarily need to be part of the movie committee, but people that would be volunteer to become familiar with enough with the equipment to show a movie on a given night. We haven't broached how we're going to get more people, because so far we're handling it within the committee. But there might be something that, if we're talking about expanding the matinee and the evening thing, we probably need to look at ways to get a few more people involved with the show.
Yeah, and I think just the comment was, if we're going to expand the movie showings, we're going to need more residents to assist in that. The other caveat to that is matinees, or 2 caveats. One, we're going to keep it as a simpler system like we have in Bradford Terrace, so it's a Blu-ray disc type player or something of that nature, where the training hopefully is much easier than what we had in Lindsay Hall. 2, 3 o'clock, I know I have a lot more administrative staff as well. So maybe that's something that, okay, the night movies, residents take care of. The 3 o'clock movies, the staff take care of. Something of that nature. So we can partner together. But absolutely, if you're interested, if it's okay to join the movie committee now, I think they're open to that. Again, if you're interested, there will definitely be some top opportunity for you. What else? Anything?
I may be the only one who doesn't know where Lindsay Hall is.
So Lindsay Hall is currently not accessible because there's that wall there, but Lindsay Hall will remain where the large multi-purpose space is. That's going to remain Lindsay Hall. So, and just the landscaping, I walked with them today. Unfortunately, there's going to be a part of the landscaping that's not going to probably happen till middle of June, just because of how the windows and balconies are being put in the Lake Terrace building. But the trees and things of that nature, we have to get topsoil back in, and KEI is ready with the trees and with the plants to get going on them once Wisconsin decides to make up its mind what it's going to do from a weather standpoint. Because
Never happened.
no, I thought, wasn't the old rule of thumb Memorial Day? Is that the time to plant because you're safe then?
Yeah.
Supposedly,
Not before.
not before, not on Saturday when I thought about planting some grass just to have it snowed on.
Trees though, I think can be planted before.
Trees are being planned as soon as we get extra dirt in. Hopefully towards beginning of next month, we'll have some trees installed. So,
What about the church services? They will be where?
so the question is, what about the church services? The end goal is Lindsay Hall. The cross will go back up, and Lindsay Hall will be where church services will be once we get back Lindsay Hall.
What are we calling it then?
Lindsay Hall.
Good.
So keeping some continuity. So Lindsay Hall is, I don't know if anybody attended or heard Mike's
Yes.
presentation
Yes.
on
Yes.
Lindsay Hall. But Lindsay's going to remain an East Castle staple, so to speak. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In the court, talking about the courtyard and that, like in the nice summertime, are they thinking, could we have dinners out there? I mean,
Yes.
Tables out there.
So patio furniture is going to be ordered, and again, I've hesitated on when to make that an arrival for our permanent patio furniture, but we will have patio furniture out there, and we will christen, for lack of a better word, the courtyard with some type of barbecue, some type of party with you as residents to really celebrate and make that courtyard into what it's going to be. But yes, the expectation is to utilize that courtyard in the evenings, on the beautiful summer days and fall evenings for dining. I think the servers would be glad to probably walk out there from time to time, especially when the weather's nice. So, that's again something I'm excited for to open up that space again. Anything else? Well, thank you all. A lot of fun. It was a great opening. Learned a few things about this space already, so we'll be better for when CG Schmidt is presenting. So, all right, enjoy the rest of your afternoon.